We're now in the kitchens at the Magna Science Adventure Centre, and I'm with Stephen Harrison, the executive chef here. Stephen, just to tell us a little bit about you and the awards you won at Magna.
Yeah, well, Magna's a big science adventure centre. We do massive corporate catering for up to 1,500 people. We won Large Venue of the Year last year. We won the National Business Tourism Award on the national level for Enjoy England as well.
Stephen's going to talk to us now a little bit about bacterial contamination, because as we all know, you can't see bacteria, and there's certain things that can really help it, aren't there, Steve? It's like preventing cross-contamination. What sort of thing do you do?
Well, we keep high-risk and low-risk foods completely separate from each other. So raw and cooked foods are kept separately from each other. Fish and meat are kept separately from each other. That stops cross-contamination. Also, using just specific equipment for specific jobs helps to stop cross-contamination as well. And not touching yourself and touching the food and then touching other things. So don't touch your ears or your mouth and then touch the food. So then you're passing on the bacteria that you've got on your body to the food as well. Or even worse, maybe the bacteria from the food onto yourself.
Yeah, so like you and me are like sort of a vehicle almost, aren't we? Taking it from one place to another place?
Yeah, spreading it around.
One of the biggest causes of food poisoning is actually cooling the food down or cooling food quickly. And Stephen's going to share one or two best practices that he actually does that you can actually use in your food business. What sort of things do you do, Stephen, to cool food down quickly?
Yeah, we do a lot of blast chilling because we have the facility of using a blast chiller.
Yeah.
But when we didn't have a blast chiller, we separated things down into smaller portions so they cooled down quicker.
Right.
We put things underneath things so they had an airflow going around them.
Right.
And also we could do things like ice baths as well.
Right, to cool it down.
Cool it down. So if you make a batch of a stew or a chilli or something like that into smaller portions, into the sink, into an ice bath. What you're trying to do is bring the temperature of the food down within 90 minutes. What we actually do is we say it needs to be brought down within 40 minutes.
Right.
And then once we've got it below 9 degrees, we then put it in our fridge. We don't put it in our fridge before then finish it off in the fridge.
Really important point is the fact that bacterial contamination is the most common cause of food poisoning, and so therefore you need to spend some time and effort actually making sure that you keep things like raw and prepared food separately, that you prepare food separately, and you use things like Stephen talked about earlier, coloured chopping boards. You use things like separate utensils, and you also have separate parts within your workplace, whether it's your kitchen or your outlet, that actually prepares food so that you keep food separately and you don't have a vehicle, i.e. you and me, that takes one thing, i.e. pathogenic bacteria from one place to another, whether that's on a board or a utensil or part of your kitchen. Let's look at the top 10 reasons for food poisoning. Right, reason number one is the fact that food is prepped too far in advance. Reason number two, cooling food too slowly. Reason number three, you don't reheat food enough, so you don't reheat it 75 degrees for 2 minutes. Reason number four, using cooked food that's already been contaminated with food poisoning bacteria. Reason number five, undercooking food again, not cooking it to 75 degrees for 2 minutes. Reason number six, not thawing out frozen poultry or anything that's frozen properly before you cook it. Reason seven, cross-contamination from raw food to high-risk food. So things like raw chicken to things like prepared or cooked hams or meats. Rule number seven, eating raw food. Things like eggs and shellfish. Number nine, storing hot food under 63 degrees. And last, reason number 10, food handlers, i.e. you and me, having poor hygiene standards. And always remember, last big thing, danger zone, what is it? 263. Right, so you've got all what you want now. We've talked about microbiological hazards, we've talked about food poisoning, and we've talked about what you can do to control food poisoning. I just want to thank Stephen at Magna.
Welcome.
For all his help today, and hope he wins many, many more awards, and we're now going to move off to the next venue.